You ever think your whole life is locked in, set in stone, and then one tiny moment just rips the script in half? Picture this: a billionaire in a $3,000 suit, kneeling on the filthy floor of an ambulance, hands shaking, whispering, "Open your eyes, little one, please," to a 9-year-old black girl whose fingers are turning cold in his. Sirens screaming, city lights blurring past, paramedics shouting numbers. And the craziest part? An hour earlier, he didn't even know her name. By the time you find out who she is, and why she's the one person who can break through the ice around his heart, you're not going to look at rich people the same way again. Before we dive in, please subscribe for more stories like this, as it means the world to us, and comment your country so we know where our family's growing. So, let me walk you through what happened, like we're just sitting across from each other at the kitchen table. The man in that ambulance? His name is Donovan Price. You probably know his type from the news: real estate king, private jets, charities named after him. That whole American success story package. People saw the tailored suits and magazine covers, but they didn't see how empty his penthouse felt when the cameras were off. They didn't see how often he stood in front of floor-to-ceiling windows at 2 a.m., staring down at the little specks of car headlights, wondering when exactly life stopped feeling real. Donovan grew up in the kind of neighborhood most billionaires only see in charity commercials. South side of the city. Cracked sidewalks. Sirens every night. He knew what it meant to go to bed hungry and wake up colder than you went to sleep. But once he got out, once he clawed his way up, college scholarships, risky deals, a ridiculous amount of work, he never went back. Not really. He sent money, sure. Donated here, funded a program there. But he didn't go back and walk those streets. He didn't sit on those stoops. In his mind, that version of him was dead and buried. On this particular evening, the city was in that in-between mood: gray sky, light snow falling like the weather couldn't decide if it wanted to be gentle or cruel. Donovan had just left a meeting that was supposed to change the future of the company. Boardroom full of suits arguing over a luxury development they wanted to build right on top of an old neighborhood, the kind of place he used to live. The numbers made sense, but something about it bothered him, like he was being asked to pave over his own reflection. Instead of going straight to his car, he told his driver to take the long way. "Just drive," he muttered, loosening his tie. He leaned his head against the cold window and watched the city slide by in streaks of light. At one point, he saw a group of kids crowded outside a corner store, hoodies up, breath visible in the cold air. He looked away faster than he wanted to admit. It hit too close. Then traffic stopped. Not that slow, annoying kind. This was a full standstill. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. The driver glanced at him in the rearview mirror. "Looks like an accident up ahead, sir." Donovan should have stayed in the back seat. He could have checked his emails, sent a few cold messages, pretended he wasn't curious. But something in those sirens grabbed his chest and squeezed. Before he could talk himself out of it, he opened the door and stepped out into the freezing air. He walked toward the commotion, shoes slipping a little on the wet pavement. A small crowd had gathered near the intersection, flashing red and blue lights, bathing everything in harsh color. As he got closer, the scene sharpened. A beat-up sedan crumpled near a light pole, glass scattered like ice on the street, a paramedic kneeling beside a tiny body on the ground. A little black girl, no more than 9, lay motionless, her hair messy, her small coat too thin for the weather. One sneaker was missing. Her skin looked pale beneath the cold, and there was this terrifying stillness about her, like the world had hit pause just around her. "Back up, sir. Give us space," one of the paramedics said, not even looking up. Donovan stopped. For a second, everything around him went muffled, voices distant, sirens fading into a low hum. He couldn't explain it, but something about her face, the curve of her cheek, that little scrunch in her nose, it tugged at an old memory of his younger sister, the one who used to fall asleep on his shoulder in the back of the bus. He hadn't seen his sister in over a year. They'd had a stupid argument about money and pride and who changed. "What happened?" he managed. "Hit and run," someone in the crowd answered. Car came out of nowhere. She pushed another kid out of the way. Driver didn't even stop. That sentence sliced right through him. She'd been a hero before she even had a chance to grow up. They got her on a stretcher, strapped an oxygen mask over her mouth. Donovan found himself moving without thinking, stepping closer until he was right beside her. One of the paramedics snapped, "Sir, you can't," then looked up, recognized his face, and hesitated. People always hesitated when they realized who he was. "Is she alone?" Donovan asked. "Where's her mom?" "Her dad." Neighbor called it in. The paramedic said, checking vitals. "No parent here yet. We're taking her to County General." County General. The same hospital where his own mother had once waited 12 hours in a hallway with a broken wrist. The same hospital that smelled like bleach and fear. "I'm going with her," Donovan said, voice firm in a way that didn't invite debate. "Family only," the paramedic started. Donovan reached into his coat, pulled out his wallet, then stopped. This wasn't about money. He swallowed hard. "Then consider me, whatever you need me to be. Just don't let her go alone." Something in his eyes must have landed. The paramedic exhaled and jerked his chin toward the back of the ambulance. "Fine, get in, but stay out of the way." That's how the billionaire ended up kneeling on the shaky floor of an ambulance, his hand wrapped around the tiny, cold fingers of a little black girl he'd never met. "Open your eyes, little one, please," he whispered, his voice cracking as the sirens wailed around them. He hadn't begged for anything in years. Not when deals were falling apart. Not when stocks dipped. But now, he was bargaining with the universe like a desperate man. "Stick around. Just stay with me." Her eyelids fluttered once. Just once. Enough to make his heart leap, then crash again when they shut. At the hospital, everything moved fast. Bright lights. Rapid-fire questions. Doctors in scrubs rushing her away. A nurse tried to stop him at the double doors. "You can't go in there." He almost said, "Do you know who I am?" But he caught himself. That wasn't the point. That version of him, the one who solved everything with money and power, felt disgusting in this moment. So he just stood there, fingers still tingling from where her hand had been, watching helplessly as the doors swung closed. Hours blurred. He sat in the hard plastic chair, expensive suit wrinkled, phone buzzing nonstop in his pocket. He ignored it all. At some point, a social worker showed up, holding a worn-out folder. "You're the one who came in with her?" she asked gently. "Yes." "Any news?" "She's in surgery. Head trauma, internal bleeding. They're doing everything they can." The woman hesitated, then sat beside him. "Her name is Amara. 9 years old. Lives 3 blocks from where she was hit. Single mom. Works nights at a diner. They've been trying to reach her." The name wrapped around his heart like a fist. "Amara," he repeated quietly, like it was fragile. The social worker flipped through papers. "Funny thing is, your name came up in her file." He frowned. "What?" She turned a page and showed him. Handwritten letters, stapled neatly on lined paper. Little kid handwriting. Some were addressed to his company. Some had his name spelled wrong. "Dear Mr. Price. Dear Sir Donovan." He took the papers with trembling hands. One letter read, "Dear Mr. Donovan, my name is Amara. My mom says you are very rich and busy, but I hope you see this. There is a building on our street with a sign that says Price Development. The landlord said we might lose our apartment when they fix it. Please don't take our home. My mom works really hard. I will be good. I get good grades. If you help us, I will grow up and help kids too. Sincerely, Amara, age 9. His throat closed up. That development project. The one from the meeting earlier. The one everyone said was a gold mine. He hadn't even bothered to look at the human side of it. Just signed what they put in front of him. "How long ago did she send this?" he asked. "Couple months," the social worker said. "Guess it got swallowed in the system. Happens a lot." He stared at the little hearts she'd drawn around the corners of the letter. The way she'd tried to make her plea look important. She'd reached out to him before destiny slammed them together on asphalt and flashing lights. And he'd never answered. Something broke inside him then. Not that dramatic movie moment where a single tear rolls down and everything's magically fixed, but a deep, shameful crack that exposed how far he'd drifted from the kid he used to be. The doors finally swung open and a doctor walked toward him, mask hanging around his neck, eyes tired. Donovan stood so quickly his chair toppled backward. "Is she?" "She's alive," the doctor said, and those 2 words almost made his knees give out. "Surgery went as well as we could hope. The next 24 hours are critical, but she's a fighter." A fighter. Of course she was. She'd pushed another kid out of the way of a speeding car. "Can I see her?" "Only for a minute. Family only." He took a breath. "Her mother?" The doctor's face softened. "On her way. They finally reached her. She's been working a double shift." When he stepped into the dim ICU room, the world narrowed to the sound of machines and the small form lying in the bed. Amara looked even smaller now, swallowed by wires and blankets. Her curls were pushed back, a bruise blooming on her forehead, but her chest rose and fell, slow and steady. Donovan walked up to the bed and wrapped his fingers gently around hers again. Not as a billionaire, not as the man on the magazine covers, just as a human being who knew what it meant to be scared and alone. "Hey, Amara," he said quietly. "It's Donovan. You and we've actually been talking already. I just didn't have the decency to listen." He told her everything he wished someone had told him when he was a kid. That her life meant more than a line on a spreadsheet. That she wasn't invisible. That the world had done a terrible job proving it. But she mattered. He promised, out loud, right there, that whether she woke up tomorrow or a week from now, her home would still be hers. That project? On pause. For good, if he had anything to do with it. When the door burst open and her mother rushed in, shoes squeaking on the tile, he stepped back. She was exhausted, eyes red, diner uniform still on, hands shaking. She went straight to the bed, sobbing, "Baby, I'm here. I'm here. Mommy's here." The social worker explained who he was. Her eyes flashed with a mix of anger and disbelief. "So you're the guy? The one buying up all the buildings? The one we wrote letters to?" He didn't defend himself. Didn't hide behind legal jargon or PR lines. "Yes," he said simply. "And I owe you both an apology." She looked like she wanted to throw something. "You think sorry keeps a roof over our heads?" "No," he said. "But stopping the people trying to take it might. The development that would have taken your building? It's dead. Effective tonight. I'll make sure of it personally. And your rent? It's paid for as long as you need it to be. No tricks. No fine print." She stared at him, disbelief warring with desperation. "Why?" He glanced at Amara's small body, then back at her mother. "Because your daughter shoved another child out of the way of a speeding car instead of saving herself. Because she wrote to a stranger, trying to protect you. Because I used to be that kid, praying someone on the other side of the glass would care." Silence stretched between them, heavy but different now. Days passed. Donovan came back every day, at first standing in the doorway, then slowly getting closer. He brought books, little stuffed animals, anything the nurses said might help. The world outside kept screaming for him. Meetings, interviews, investors demanding attention. But every time his phone buzzed, he looked at the little girl in the bed and decided they could wait. On the fifth day, just before dawn, he was sitting in the chair next to her bed, chin resting on his chest, half asleep, still holding her hand. He felt the slightest squeeze. His eyes snapped open. Amara's lashes fluttered. "Hey," he whispered, leaning in. "Hey, little one. You with me?" Her voice was a raspy whisper. "Are you the window man?" He blinked. "The what?" She licked her lips. "Mom said, people in tall buildings look out the window and never see us." Her eyes, still glassy, focused on him. "But you're here." That sentence hit harder than any insult he'd ever heard. He smiled, tears threatening. "Yeah, I'm here. And I see you, Amara. I really do." From that day on, he didn't just visit. He started showing up in other places too. In meetings, questioning projects that would rip apart communities. In courtrooms, funding legal help for tenants about to be steamrolled. In schools, backing scholarships in neighborhoods like the one he escaped. But the biggest change wasn't public. It was the quiet promise he kept to a little black girl who once lay on a street, half frozen, because the world didn't slow down for kids like her. He set up a foundation in her name, the Amara Fund, built to protect families from being pushed out of their homes by greedy deals and cold signatures. Whenever someone asked him why he changed, why the man known for being ruthless suddenly grew a conscience, he never told the full story. He just said, "Sometimes life grabs you by the collar and makes you look at what you've been pretending not to see." But if you'd been in that ambulance, if you'd seen a billionaire whisper, "Open your eyes, little one, please," to a girl who had every reason to believe people like him didn't care, you'd understand. And maybe that's the part that matters to you, listening to this right now. Because no matter where you are on the ladder, barely holding on or sitting at the top, there's always someone down below wondering if anybody sees them. If this story hits you even a little bit, remember, real power isn't in how tall your building is or how fancy your title sounds. It's in who you show up for when nobody's watching. And just like Donovan found out far too late, sometimes the smallest hand you reach for is the one that finally pulls you back into being human.